Hi, Angela. I'm trying to add you in here. Hold on just a second. Okay, Angela, I want to add you.
Got it.
We're in.
Hi.
This is clever.
Let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. Okay. There. So good to see you.
You too. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's about 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock in the morning in New Zealand.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay, let's see. What time okay, 12:58. Yeah, we set it for 1, so I'm just gonna wait like 2 minutes or something just to see
Yeah.
who joins. Natty is here. Hi.
Yeah, this is all new to me. I've not done, I haven't really done much on Instagram Live at all. So, yeah. Oh, hi, James.
The first one I did was last weekend, so it's all new to me too. Yeah.
You
I had this moment of panic right before this started of like, do I even know how to start this?
Yeah, sure I do.
And then do I know how to add Angela? Well, anyway, it worked. But
Well, that's the thing about being creative. You just give things a go, don't you?
yes, try it, and if it works, great. If not, you figure out something else. So, all
Yeah.
right, let's see. Let's go
Cool.
ahead and get started. So this is going to be, I think it just automatically gets recorded, and then I'll save it to my Instagram Live when we're done.
Yeah.
When I did this last weekend, I tried to download the recording and save it to my page because it was hosted by somebody else, and that didn't work for me. So I don't know if that will work for you, but you may want to try that, and I can help give you some instructions.
Cool.
Yeah, but so welcome, and hi everyone who joined us. I'm so glad you're here. And I just want to give, before we get into it really, I want to just give a little bit of a background, like why we're doing this. So, well, it's like a multifold thing, but for quite a while, I've had this idea of like, I don't know, almost like I want to interview other artists and other people who are doing creative things to find out, what sparks joy in them, where they get their inspiration, and how a creative practice benefits their life. Like how does that inform their life in general and make things better and all the things. But I've been really afraid to do it. And a couple of weeks ago, an artist, she's an American artist living in Sweden, Jen Meser, and I'm sorry, Jennifer, if I messed up your last name, but she reached out to me and she asked me if I would be willing to do an Instagram Live with her. And I thought, well, I've never done one before, and I also have this vision of doing this in the future. And I checked her out because I didn't know her, and she is all about smashing the stigma of mental health. The mental health stigma that so many people have. And she uses her art as a platform to do that. And I thought, well, that's a great collaboration. Like I could talk about the benefits of painting all day long. And so I said yes immediately to that. And I did it last weekend, and I was so fired up by it that I decided I want to do more of this. And then, as you know, Angela, in our conversation later, we had a discussion around how we can kind of raise awareness and spread the message as well. And so I thought, well, this is perfect for that. So that's kind of how this started. And yeah, so I just want to thank you for being the first one on my Instagram page to do this. But why don't we go ahead and just do introductions? If you want to just take a few minutes and maybe just tell us, your name and what you're about and where you're from and how you kind of got into the painting side of things and the creative business.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's funny because the conversation we had, I was was wanting to do the same thing. So it's a bit like everything converged at the same time. And we're both going, oh, I don't know if I should do it. But, all right, okay, we should do it. My name's Angela Murray. My business is called Living Life in Colour. And I'm not a trained artist. Don't profess to be. Self-taught mostly. And I came from this creative coaching from a background of, I trained as a life coach. Actually, I did 2 lots of life coach training. And I enjoyed it. But what I found was people were spending too much time up here. And you could see when they dropped into their heart space, but then they would if you got close to something that was a bit sticky or somewhere they really needed to go, you'd watch them bounce back again. And so I discovered that creativity and painting is where I go to get my answers. So the idea of combining the 2 of them was formed, and I did the Creatively Fit training. Wasn't expecting to do it, and combined the 2 together, and it just sort of took off from there. Suddenly I went from, I had a few clients, you know, every now and again, to suddenly people were asking me, when are you running your next class? When can I book a one-on-one? It was like a complete shift. It was as if I'd found my lane, if you know what I mean. And so art and creativity for me is really super important, because we get too much time in that logical side of our brain where we doubt ourselves and we undo ourselves. And when you're working in the creative side of the brain, that's more when you get that love-based, all those love-based thoughts, all those things that you can tell yourself you can do, not all the things that you tell yourself you can't do. And so I've used it in loads of different ways. I'm sure we'll probably get onto that when we're talking. But anyway, I'm currently in New Zealand, originally from the UK. Came here on a 5-week holiday and didn't go back. Well, I've been back for holidays. And that was another sort of following my gut. It was one of those, I felt like I needed to be here. I had absolutely no idea why. I know now. But at the time I had no idea why. But anyway, I'm sure we can talk a bit about that.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, how many of us have gone on a holiday or vacation somewhere and wanted to stay, and you actually did it? That's amazing.
I think if I knew I was going to do it beforehand, I would have probably been scared. But because it was a holiday, and I thought, oh, I'll just stay another few weeks. Oh, I'll just stay another few months. Next thing I know, I'm ringing my dad. Dad, can you sell my car? But I was living on my credit card. And then I just started to look for work, and eventually things sort of fell into place. So it sort of crept up on me. Yeah, anyway.
That's lovely. Yeah, and I'm sure you're getting so much inspiration too from the landscape where you live, and it's so beautiful there from what you showed us before.
Yeah, it's lots of blue sky, which was the thing that got me. It's like, because when I remember going back to the UK and someone saying to me, what is it about New Zealand? And I said, there's just so much sky, which sounds like an odd thing to say. Hi, Kristen.
Yeah. Yay, people are joining. Thank you. I love it. I love it. Well, so thank you for that, Angela. One of the things that, I'm really hoping to do with these chats is to just spread like inspiration, I guess, and and introduce people to a side of creativity that maybe they hadn't thought about before, or maybe they can enhance in some way. But and I know we're going to get into it a little bit, but I think both of us, as you just kind of touched on, we both use our painting practice as a self-care tool in a lot of ways. And And so I'm all about like spreading awareness around that because I don't know that a lot of people know that that's actually available to them. And I said it in my chat last Sunday, but I liken it something to like yoga or any sort of self-care practice, whether it's like, eating a healthy diet or taking a walk every day or getting out in nature or, like I said, like yoga for me or any sort of exercise or self-care, I don't know, tools or aids or whatever. And so painting over the years, I started painting because I wanted to make pretty pictures, basically. I just wanted to paint something that was pretty, and it has evolved into something that's so much more than that. It's like, it's hard for me to go a day without painting now. And I really feel it like in my soul when I don't do it. And I've noticed that I show up better, in my marriage. I show up better for my friends. I show up better in all aspects of my life because I have this practice. And so
I fully get that. I often say when if I'm painting, I'm a much nicer person to be around because otherwise I get really sort of wound up and tetchy and everything starts to catch up with you. So yeah, I can fully get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like a release, and so, you were mentioning sometimes we get caught up in the logical side of our brain. And I think for so many people, especially people who are working like 9-to-5 jobs, sitting at a desk all day or whatever, you start to build up tension in your shoulders and your back, and you carry stress. And if you don't have an outlet, like a way to release that tension and stress, it just builds up and builds up. And I just know from my own personal experience, then you end up at the chiropractor or you end up at the doctor, you end up, having to find like medical ways to try to care for yourself. And when you're painting, it's like a release. Before you know it, your muscles are relaxed. You're not worrying about all of the stuff that's going on in your life and your to-do lists and all of that. It's just, it's just like you're in that present moment and nothing else matters. And with that comes those additional benefits of the tension being released and all of that. And so that's what, I'm hoping people will get from these sessions.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the need to go to the chiropractor or sort of medical intervention, because I was recently approached to run some workshops under a scheme called Art for Prescription. So the idea being that rather than going to the doctor and getting a prescription for whatever is going on for you, I mean, obviously it depends what it is, that you can have another outlet by using creativity. Now, creativity could be music or it doesn't have to be necessarily painting. It's whatever is your thing. But it's just such, for me, it was just a massive aha moment when someone actually came and said, we want to use this for, instead of a prescription. I thought, wow, people are actually getting it. This is coming from the wider art community, which has not always been the case. A lot of art-related things that I've been involved with have been very much about the technique and shows and being able to create, as you said, a pretty picture or something someone wants to buy, and to have the art community coming to me saying, we believe that this is actually good for your mind or your body or your soul. Could you help us to help other people, was absolutely massive. So I ran my first one last week for a group of ladies who are going through their cancer journey. And it was incredible, absolutely incredible to be able to help them, give them skills to take away that they can use in their everyday life so that they're doing something creative and not always thinking about what they're going through. Yeah, I actually feel really blessed to be able to do this work.
It's really important work. And I mean, just being able to offer that to someone so that they don't have to And you know, and I said this last week, and I'll probably say it every time I have this discussion with a larger audience. You know, I want to be very clear that in no way would I ever suggest that painting or any sort of creative activity replace professional care that you may need. You know, so you know, whether that's talk therapy or you know, medication for certain things or whatever, like, you know, everybody has to make their own decision about that. But what I have found is that in a lot of ways, it can either aid those things or for me, it has replaced a lot of those things. But to be able to give that to these women in your group, you know, as just one more alternative to something it's really amazing. So, but before we go on, we said we were going to paint, so I want to make sure we get started painting.
Okay.
And it doesn't, I mean, we don't have to paint like anything particularly, but I started this one last week and it's just, you know, it's just really
I love it. It's messy, like that one.
It's messy metal. And so I'm just going to keep adding to this. I may do a mandala or something. But but I have it propped up here. Let me see if I can turn the camera a little bit so people can see it a little bit better. But if you're watching and you want to paint with us, get your paints out. It's kind of hard to get everything in here, but okay, let's see if that works. Okay, cool.
Interesting. And probably about 5 years ago, I used to catch up with another artist. Her name is Karen Sachs, and she's based in she's in Hollywood, I think. And we used to catch up just to literally paint and chat. And it was, and if anyone else is on here that wants to do that sort of thing, it was super simple. We would go on Zoom or Skype up, as it probably was at the time, and just have a cup of coffee and paint and talk. And I don't know, it was really joyful time because we were both just doing our own thing. Yeah, just really enjoyed it. And every now and again she'd put her painting up and go, look.
Well, yeah, and I think for some people, you know, it's hard to find time, you know, with everything else going on at work, kids, family, whatever. And so to give them even an hour window where they can sit with us and just and paint with us, you know, maybe they won't be able to paint any other time of the day, but I just thought this is a great time to do it. If you have time to watch this, you have time to paint with us.
That's a very good
asking. Yeah, someone is asking, Angela, where you get your rounds. Maisha is asking where you get your rounds. Is it canvas or what is that? Sorry if you said
like
your board.
It's canvas on one side and it's sort of cardboard, I guess. Well, that's, I don't know, the brand. I'm not sure, this might be a New Zealand brand.
Did you order it online or did you get it at an art store?
I got them at an art store. But I'm sure one of the other coaches I've seen has got them, whether it was Michael's or Dick Blick, I'm not sure. Yeah, there is definitely, I'm sure there's one of the other artists in the US is using them. Anyway, I thought what I'm going to do, seeing as it's nice and fresh, I'm just going to put some words or intentions on it.
Yeah, that's great.
Maybe it can be intentions for the chat. Yeah.
This is a good thing that you're bringing up because I did a poll in my Instagram stories, I think it was yesterday, and I asked people if they're having a creative week or if they need some inspiration. And some people said they're having a creative week and some people said that they need inspiration. And I think this is a great way, what you just said, to get started on a canvas, you know, if you're not sure what to do. And it can really be as simple as just doing a couple of taking a couple of deep breaths, thinking about intentions or gratitude or something, and then just writing that right onto your canvas.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to just get moving and get the creativity flowing.
Another thing I like to do is after I generally paint with music. Obviously, you can't when it's on Instagram Live because it's probably copyrighted. But I usually paint with music, and quite often because I paint on the wall, so I stopped using easels, and my lovely other half put some nails in the wall for me, which is great. And I just hang my painting straight on the wall. And the good thing about that is I can put my music on and I could just put my hands and paint and just actually play with it and get moving and get touching the canvas, so that I'm actually, if you like, if you want it to be Zen, I'm sort of one with the canvas. And then I stop feeling scared of the blank big white space, because I mean, especially the one behind me, that's quite a big and daunting thing to paint on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Angela, I've done the same thing. I'll swing my camera around so people can see it, but so I put screws in my wall too. And sorry, well, actually, let me pull you this way. And then put a tarp back there. I don't know if you can see, but
Yeah, that's cool.
so I have.
I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a great. Sorry, everyone. But it's a great way to get more movement into your life, because when you're sitting at a table painting, it can be very restrictive, like confining, but when you're painting, standing at a wall, and you can get your hands involved, you can dance to music. And I do that a lot. I would never do it in front of anyone. Okay, I'm just saying. But I will do it when nobody's watching, by myself, and it's such a good feeling. So highly recommended if you've ever
It's funny you say that, because it's one of the things I do when I run my. I've got a workshop called Dream Big, Paint Big, and it's one of the things I get them to do, and it can be quite daunting, especially if it's sort of in the first week, and if not, they might not have met these people before. But then it's amazing once that they've sort of let loose and done that, just the change in them, and that feeling of, yes, I can do this. So and that feeling of being supported, because in order to do it, the other people have got to hold the palette for them to be able to do that. And then someone else might be holding the canvas, because if you're painting with your fingers and it's on an easel, it might move. And just that absolute, I find when I've done it in person, to witness somebody go through that is such an amazing thing. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
So Angela, so one, I know you have a regular creative practice, but can you describe what your practice is a little bit? Like, how often are you in the studio? Are you always painting? Do you do other things? Like, I know you have a daddy job.
Yeah, I have a full-time job working for a community organization, so that takes quite a lot of time. So the things that I do for my creative practice, I do journal, and I'd say I'm probably a binge journaler. I'm not one of these people that'll do something every day. I don't paint every day either, but when I do, I do. So when I say that I journal, I haven't got one here, but I'm not necessarily the kind of person who wants to just sit and write words, because then I end up with, well, this is what I had for breakfast, and then I went here and I did the shopping, and it's so boring. But when I journal, what I really want is what's going on sort of in my head, or my heart, my soul. How do I get that to come through? So I created this practice where I have my journal book, and I use, say, sort of like markers like this. which actually when you write on the page, this is just paint marker, but when you write on the page, it bleeds through. And the first time that it bled through, I was like, oh no, I've ruined the journal. And then what I realized was that what bled through on the other side was sort of an identical copy of the first side, but not exactly. And then what I've been doing around the patterns that I create, I then use a fine line marker, and I just start letting the words come out. So it could be, I could be thinking about, you know, how my life's journey has unfolded, or something. I'm trying to think of something that I actually have written about. Oh, letting go of control, that could be one of them. So letting go of control, you never know what direction you're going to go in, and the more that you try and hold on, the harder your life becomes. So let go. So I might write that on one side, and then when I flip the page to the other side, I then write potentially the opposite. I call it two sides of a conversation. So then so it's really querying myself. You know how we have all these assumptions and beliefs. It's then going, well, what would be the opposite? So I actually query myself on the second side of the page. And for me, that's just a really good way of getting stuff out of my head in a creative way. Otherwise, my studio is, it's tiny. Excuse me if I make everybody see so. But yeah, it's my studio. It's all my arty books, and ooh, it really is getting. And oh, and this is my favorite thing. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be a guy's toolbox for the garage. It took a bit to get it in here, I'll tell you. So I've got all my paints and stuff, and I just come in and I might even just spend 10 minutes just flicking paint, or I like to get my hands in paint. Yeah, so I'm not, people get into their heads that they have to carve time out. Like I have to have, you know, an hour in the studio, and it has to be perfect. It's got to be quiet. And the kids need to be at their grandparents or something. They need space. But actually, I probably paint a lot in 10-minute bite size. Mm-hmm. Walking past the canvas, I might flick a bit of paint on it, and then I find I'm there for 3/4 of an hour because I've just got lost in it. Or I might come in here to tidy up and I end up painting. So I've taken away that I must paint, because then that's adding another layer to our list of shoulds, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, and I think
What do you do?
I was just going to say, I think what you said is also, I mean, that can be great inspiration too, is just if you don't necessarily feel like painting, or you're not sure what to paint, to just start tidying up your space, your creative space. And more often than not, that will lead to, you know, you're going to pick up a pen or paintbrush or something. Yeah. But for me, for right now, I'm working on the 100-day project.
Yeah.
It's a massive undertaking, I'm finding. When I first started it, I just thought, well, you know, it'll keep me motivated and stuff. And it definitely has done that, but it's been so much more than that. And so anyway, so I'm committed to painting every single day for that project. I mean, I have had a couple days where I haven't been able to for different reasons, but you know, you have to give yourself permission to just, if it doesn't work that day, it doesn't work that day, and you move on. But for the most part, I've been painting every single day, and I've been I told myself to spend at least 20 minutes, but don't put pressure on myself for anything more than that, because then it starts feeling like work, and I don't want, I just don't want it to feel like work. So, so I said 20 minutes, but normally what happens is once I start painting, I'm in here for an hour, hour and a half. And I have found what's been really interesting is that I hit a wall at about an hour and a half. Like you know, it's really hard for me to go beyond that. And so what I'll do is if I hit that wall, but I'm still feeling like I want to paint, I'll just stop. I'll I'll clean up, and then I'll go like eat a meal or spend time outside or do something else. And then if I still feel like painting like later on in the day, I'll come back in here and kind of start the process all over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like I don't want to put that pressure on myself of like I have to do this, you know.
I think
And
the
then
other thing related to that, which you obviously do, is working on more than one painting at one time, because you end up putting the pressure on that painting. Does that make sense? And you start to get really obsessive about like little elements of it, or you might even overdo it. So having various canvases on the go at the same time actually gives that canvas a break. So yeah,
it gives the canvas a break and it gives your mind a break, like from,
yeah,
yeah, just worrying about it, you know. And so I have right now, I have 3 large canvases going, and I just, you know, I alternate, like I switch between them. I don't just focus on one at a time. I mean, I have my 100-day canvas, which is like the primary, but then when I get to a point where I'm like, it's not working, or I don't know, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do next or whatever, all those things that come up, then I just turn the paintbrush on one of the other canvases. And those are just, you know, they're just sitting here. Like I have no intention for them to be anything. They take the extra paint from my paintbrushes from the 100-day canvas, and whatever they end up being is going to be fine.
yeah,
But yeah, so that's kind of it for me. I mean, before the 100-day project, I wasn't painting. I thought about painting a lot. I wanted to paint a lot, but I didn't actually do it all that much. I would say like on average, probably 1 to 5 hours per week. And I've been recording the time I've spent in studio since the 100-day canvas, and I'm averaging about 10 to 15 hours a week now. And, you know, not everyone can do that. I totally get that with work and family and all that. But I'm fortunate right now that I'm able to do that. And so that's kind of the way
yeah.
it's working out. And I'm also like really excited for this project to be over because, you know, it's like, it kind of feels like, you know, I don't know. It just feels like I just want to be free of it now, but I've learned so much, and I still have like 30 days to go, and I know I'm going to learn a ton of lessons within that 30 days. So it's all good. It's just,
Yeah. Have a celebration at the end. I think the other thing is something that you made me think about was that I found myself, obviously because I teach and I coach, that I would come into the studio with the view of, oh, I'm going to record something, or I'm doing this for learning to teach someone else. And I had to get back to, actually, I want to go in the studio to do something for me. Because otherwise what was happening was I was giving it all away, if that makes sense. The thing that got me in the studio in the first place was to go and create my own art and have time with myself. And then I made it work. I actually turned it into another job. And so I've had to dial that back, even to the point of I don't teach as many in-person workshops anymore. In fact, this year I've got one coming up on the 4th of July, and which is obviously not a holiday here. And that'll probably be my last live in-person workshop this year, because I've just decided I've got other things that I want to be doing, like maybe more online and connecting with, you know, lovely people like you online, to do this kind of thing rather than getting ready for an in-person workshop, which, to be honest, it might only be one day that I do the workshop, but the preparation for it can be a week long.
right.
And it's like I'm having to look at, I've got a full-time job, I also do this, something's got to give. And that then and I think I've just had to start looking after myself, really.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
it's a lot. And you know, and we have a lot of options in the creative realm of things. And I think for many of us, you know, many artists and creative people, we want to do it all. And then we get saturated and we get overwhelmed by it. And we do
But
have
they
to
call
take a
it,
step back.
yeah, that shiny bright object. It's like, ooh,
Yeah.
I could do that. Somebody
Yeah.
wants me to do that. Oh yeah, I could do that. It's like,
Well, and
really?
especially if you're trying to do it and run a business, because you also
Yeah.
have the business side of it, you know, so
Oh yes.
yeah. Yeah, but I'm definitely guilty of that. I get started on so many things and then I never finish any of them. And it's like
Mhm.
that creates its own frustration. And so I am also trying to get focused on what it is that I want to be doing. And painting is obviously like one of the you know,
Yeah.
that's kind of the foundation for everything else.
Yeah.
But
And it's funny because when I made that decision, the reason it's taken me so long to come out and say I'm not going to do this is that feeling of feeling guilty, because I know people get so much out of it, but they're just going to have to join me online. Yeah, just that, because you want to be of service, so you do these things, but you have to look after you have to look after yourself in all of that. Yeah. Anyways, we're
I
going to
think
show you
it's
what I'm doing.
also, you know, in my experience, I've met a lot of artists over the last year, because that's, you know, at the beginning of 2020 is when I started my Creatively Fit coaching
Mm.
experience with Brea. And through that, you know, that just led to so many other, I met so many people, and it just, you know, I just branched out from there, and I'm in a ton of different creative groups and stuff. But what I have found is largely, you know, artists we're introspective, of course, and a lot of us are introverted. And to do the people part of it for a lot of people, a lot of artists can be difficult. We want to do it and we get so much out of it, and we know they do too, but then there's that, you know, it does take a lot of energy and time and all of that. And so
Yeah,
anyway, just the point being, look out for yourself and find what works for you. Um,
definitely.
yeah.
And
The
the other
squirrel
thing as well with me,
mentality.
my most unfavorite word is obligation.
Mm-hmm.
I, I'm not entirely sure what that's about, but I consider myself, I find myself, I don't like to, I'm not a joiner. I don't like to join things where I'm going to be obligated to do something over and over and over and over. And it's been the same even in my day job, as in I would go into a job, I would sort everything out. And then when it got into the regular maintenance / churn of the role, I'd want to be off and do something else. And I think that's something to do with the creative side of me going, bright shiny object or squirrel.
Yeah.
So to feel like I'm going to be, I have to do something. I find really difficult. So yeah.
Nepal and so in the chat they're talking about the squirrel mentality, and it can be a form of procrastination. That's true. I do
That
think
is
that's true.
absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I often find it's quite good. See, when I first started my workshops, it was other people pushing me, going, "Well, you've just done this. We've gone through this workshop with you. When are you doing the next one?" And it actually was other people pushing me to do it, and I go, "All right, okay, I'll do it." Whereas I could have procrastinated on that forever.
yeah.
I remember the first thing I started doing was I decided to do a book club, a creative book club, and it was based on Whitney Freer's first book, The Artist Within. And I sort of mentioned it to a friend. Oh, I was thinking about doing this book club. And I think inside I'd sort of mentioned it, but I don't know that I was committed. And then she said, "So when are we doing it?" And I went, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll think about it. I'll see if I can find somewhere to do it." And then she pestered me to do it. And that was what started everything off. All the group work was, and I think procrastination was probably true, was the fear of standing up in front of a group of people that either that I did know or worse, that I didn't know, and teaching them something, teaching them something, because that was not my world at all. I was much in my work much more introverted than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure where that's going, but anyway.
Well, no, I had a very similar experience because my background is in the tech industry, and I worked in that industry for like 20 years, and clearly so different from the creative side of things. I mean, there are creative aspects to tech work, but and I had to lead meetings and stuff, but it wasn't really I would rather just sit behind the computer screen and not be seen. And then I decided I wanted to start teaching people how to paint. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's going to actually require speaking in front of people and putting myself in front of people. And I'm like, can they just learn through osmosis? Like, I don't know. I can just send the vibes out there and
they'll just get it.
They'll just get it. But it doesn't quite work that way, I found.
I think that the big realization for me, and it actually happened in that very first book club, was that I stood up in front of them and said, I'm probably going to stuff this up.
Yeah.
Forgive me if I make any mistakes. I'm learning alongside of you. And I took myself away from being the teacher on the pedestal to being, I'm just like you and I'm learning. And of all the coaches that I've trained, that's one of the things I always say to them is, don't do that to yourself. Don't put yourself up on that pedestal, because they might try to anyway. But actually, just be open and honest. And if you stuff up, you stuff up. But the other thing in relation to that is, you're the only one that knows what you're going to teach. So if you don't do it right, they actually don't know anyway.
They don't know.
And those sorts of teachings and learnings, I'm just trying to say to people that, take the pressure off yourself. We're not meant to be perfect. In fact, if you're doing this work, being perfect's really not a good place to be.
Yeah.
Away from that.
Even I remember, when I started Whitney Freya's the Creatively Fit coaching program, and she had us do the group shares. And I was just like, I don't want, it's like, I can't do that. But things change, and I've come a long way in a year.
Yeah.
But
look at you now.
Yeah, now I'm doing Instagram Lives. Who knew? But somebody asked, James, I'm sorry, I can't see your full. It's so hard for me to see the comments on here. But the tech, so I did everything from desktop support to when I left my tech career, I was a business analyst. I did a lot of software testing in between. I did a lot of work with like SQL and just stuff I don't really want to think about anymore. Yeah. But I did, most of my career was spent in the doing something with legal software, either for like courthouses or for law firms, building software for the data to flow through. Yeah.
So,
James
was just saying, never make your passion a chore.
Yes.
Absolutely. Hi, Dave.
Okay. Is anyone else painting with us? Just give us like a yes or thumbs up or something.
I hope so. It's a good excuse to paint. I was just going to show you what I was up to. I've been putting a whole bunch of words on here in relation to what we're doing. Yeah, community, knowing, heart space, communication, happiness, fun, learning. The reason, actually one of the reasons that I do this, and I do this pretty much on every painting I do, is that I believe that whatever you put into your painting, Nadia is painting, yay! James is drawing.
Awesome.
Risha is painting as well. That's cool. We've got a revolution going. I actually believe that whatever you put into your paintings is what they actually give you back. that makes any sense. One of the things I teach is a class on mandalas, and it's less about the mandalas and more about manifesting, I would say. It's about putting into things your intentions and watching that unfold after you've created your painting and it's on the wall. And I actually wonder that do the things come about because you put it out to the universe? We might not believe in that, or do they come about because you've actually allowed your subconscious to get out onto a canvas what it is that it wants to achieve? And then when you see that painting on the wall, your subconscious always knows what you wrote into that canvas. Yeah, and that's part of what I teach. But I really believe that the energy that you put in is what basically the energy that it gives you back. So I always say to people, talk nicely to your canvas. Yeah. If you put something in there that's a little darker, you might want to lighten it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a great way to, get out some of your frustrations if you have that as like maybe a first layer, and then let that dry, and then add on top of it something that you are like a shift you're hoping to see or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's also what you just said. It also made me think that it's a great way to give a gift to someone, especially if you know that they're going through a difficult time, is paint something for them, but put the, right into the painting what your hopes for them are, or what, good wishes you have for them and all of that. And then that's great energy to give to someone. And hang these around your house, like my studio is full of my paintings because of that reason. I do the same thing that you do, Angela, and I have so many paintings around my studio, and they just bring the energy in here is like through the roof. It's so
beautiful.
Awesome. I love time. Yeah.
Yeah. I have got paintings all around the house. In fact, I've reached a stage, because I used to buy other people's art. It probably sounds bad, but I have no space to buy anybody else's art, because I get a little bit attached to some of mine as well. And then every now and again, I'll put something on Facebook going, right, this one's got to go. I'm going to put it up for sale.
I do the same thing. I have paintings that my husband was in here last night looking at some, and he saw one and he said, "Oh, I really like that. We should hang it up in somewhere else in the house." And I thought, "No, but I need it in my studio." Like, I'm trying to take my painting, dude.
Dude, it's mine.
It's kind of funny, but I wanted to ask you. I know you're doing this work with the women's group, and I think you had mentioned before another group that you might be working with, but I'm just curious.
It's a group with to do with grief. So for whatever reasons, it's a grief support group. So completely different to the other one. I found it interesting actually doing the group for cancer, because at first there was a level of trepidation in me. It's like, what on earth am I gonna teach them? Or not, like feeling like the session had to have a purpose. That was me putting on myself. And actually what I realized was the whole purpose of the session was not to concentrate on what they were going through, but actually give them a break from what they were going through, to give them something else that could potentially allow them to think of other things than the situation that they currently find themselves in. And so when I let go of my own ego, because it was to do with my ego, and just went, okay, well, I'll find something simple that I can teach them that's usable afterwards. and that will show them that they've got skills that they probably don't think they've got, and then we just have a bit of fun and a laugh. And it was a really light-hearted session. You wouldn't have necessarily expected it to be, but we did so much laughing. And one of the things, because I was getting them to illustrate something, and I had said, okay, who in the room's got shaky hands? And they were sort of put their hand up like as if it was going to be a bad thing. And it was like, awesome, because you're going to be ahead of everybody else in this next exercise, because you need to have a shaky hand to do what we're going to do. And so just trying to bring up those things that they might saw as a negative was going to be a positive. Yeah, I don't know. It was a really, really good session, but I had to get past myself to be able to do it. So, and I'm looking forward to the next one. It's to do with, like I said, it's to do with grief, and yeah, I have no idea what we're going to do, but we'll be doing something.
But same concept, right? Is it the same? Are you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the same idea of having something that they can take away and that they can share with other people. That's the other thing. It's like I quite like to be able to give, like, if someone's a grandparent, that they can actually take what I'm going to teach them and then do it with their grandkids, or if they're a parent, to do it with their kids. It's quite nice that it's something that they can then go on and share, because that's like that whole ripple thing.
Yeah.
Because you taught them something, then they go on to share with someone else who might share with someone else. Yeah, and that's happened a lot with some things I teach in my classes. People will come back and go, oh, I did it with my son, and look at what we've made. And yeah, I know Nadia, who's on here, she's done, she did the paint jam, the 24-hour paint jam that Whitney was talking about. She did that with her son.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, so just in reference to that, I think Whitney said she's planning another. So this is Whitney Freya. If anyone doesn't know who she is, she's online, Instagram, and she's got a website and all that. And I think she's planning to do another paint jam in July. I want to say, is it July? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
I remember the exact date. Yeah. I want to say 19th, actually, US. I think it's a solstice.
It's going to be a 24-hour thing that you can join. You can join in at any time or stay as long as you want or whatever. Or do the whole 24 hours. How amazing would that be? But so just if anyone wants, because I think some people that are on this chat right now are going to be doing that. Some of the people in the comments.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I tried it the last time. Actually, it was the time that Nadia was doing it as well. And I was painting by myself. And because of the time difference, it was really late at night. I think I started probably something like 11 o'clock at night, something like that. And I managed to get about 8 hours in of the 24 hours. And then I thought, I'm just gonna sit on the sofa and shut my eyes for 5-10 minutes. And the next thing I knew, it was like 8 hours later. And I completely missed it. I was like, all right, okay, failed.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't go all night. I don't think I could do it all night. Like, I'm a nap person. I don't know if anyone else here is a nap person, but I definitely need naps. Like, I need a lot of rest and sleep.
Yeah, I'm one of these people, like, if I'm out somewhere and I get really tired, like if you're out at a party, I've got to go. If I want to go, I've got to go now.
Right.
There's no negotiating with me. I'm tired, I want to go, I need to go to bed now.
Yes.
Apparently I was like that as a kid. I haven't changed. Yeah. This is fun.
Well, I'll show you my painting so far. Oops. And it's so simple to do this, and it just is it's so relaxing. There's no rules around it. It's like I had this really interesting background and I just painted right over it,
I love that.
Love my naps. Me too. Oh my goodness. Naps are like, they're the best.
Yeah.
I sleep better during my naps than I do at night, and it's so weird because you know, I've had friends say to me, "Well, it's because you're taking naps during the day," but it's not. I definitely hit a point during my day where it's like, yeah, I need to rest. But the sleep I get from a nap is like it's like a drug. It feels so good. But yeah, so this is what's going on. If anyone wants to, if you're painting or drawing along and you want to tag us, you know, after, like if you post it or something, I'd
Yeah.
love to see what you're doing. That would be so cool.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be.
just doing a quick time check. We have about 8 minutes left. So is there
Oh my
any,
God.
I know it flies by. Um, anything you want to mention about anything else going on? You know, do you have any offerings coming up in any way or anything
Yeah,
you want to tell people about?
I've got, I've mentioned it briefly before, but Dream Big, Paint Big, which I have done over a number of years in person. And I have ran online once before. I'm actually taking it online and it starts on the 1st of May. I'll post a link in the after the post. But yeah, it's about basically stepping up in your life and it's a bit of a life metaphor, stepping up and painting on a big blank canvas. And I combine both the painting with a lot of the life coaching skills that I learned. I call it sort of sneaky coaching because it's like being coached and not realizing you're being coached. And the reason I'm really looking forward to it is it's completely live. So I've got people who've joined up from I think there's a lady in Canada, there's a few from the US, we've got Australians. It's difficult for people from the UK to join because it would be middle of the night for them. But I just love the fact that I can get all of these people together, and New Zealanders, from around the world and making new friends, all because of creativity and all because they're going to step up and paint the biggest painting of their life. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. You'd see the difference in the energy between that I'm letting go of the in-person workshops to I can't wait to start on Dream Big, Paint Big online. The other reason I love it is because when I used to have people come and paint in the studio, I'd get to the end of a 2-hour session and go, okay, now we need to tidy up. And I always felt really bad because it'd be in the flow. Whereas when you do it online, go, okay, the session's finished, but you can carry on painting because they're painting in their own homes. And that actually feels a lot better, I think.
Well,
But
the other thing about it is that you're able to reach a lot more people, you know? I mean, it would be lovely if we could all come to New Zealand and do that with you, but probably not likely. But this way, you can reach a lot more people. So how big is the canvas?
Sorry, the canvas. The one that I've recommended is 40, I think it's 48 by 36, something like that. Generally, I recommend that because you've got to be able to fit it in your car. If you buy it from an art store, if you have it delivered, then that's fine. But yeah, if you buy it from an art store, make sure it will fit in your car.
Yeah.
Or a square.
I was just going to say, my art store doesn't deliver the large canvases. I don't know why. It's weird. I mean, I'm sure there's probably another one around that would, but
Yeah. It's like that one behind me. That I had that one delivered, and I was so excited when it arrived. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I love it when you do that and you just start to mute the colors slightly, but you can still see them coming. That's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, when my big canvas arrived, it was just like Christmas. It was like, I should have done like an unboxing video, and it's just a white canvas. And I love the smell of new canvases, if that makes there's something about that potential because it's brand new and it has a certain smell. It's a bit like new books when you get a new book. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just a bit odd.
So, well, you know, okay, so there's an art store near me called Michael's. I think it's a U.S. national chain.
Yeah.
And they had a 70% off sale recently of their canvases. And I came
You
home
bought
with
one?
I came home with pretty much everything that would fit in my car. Like I stocked up and I propped them up downstairs and I just stared at them for like, you know, off and on until I finally got them into the storage space. But I was just like, oh, these canvases, like I just had such dreams for them. But I want to take a quick look before we go at the comments here.
Hmm.
Oh,
How's that?
somebody says, oh, Kim. Hi, Kim. She says, people always think painting big is hard. It's actually easy and fun. I find it so much easier than painting small.
Yeah, I do. I find it much easier to be a lot more expressive on a big canvas. Otherwise, you mentioned it before, when you're working at a table or on a small canvas, I find myself getting all sort of knotted up and my shoulders are up around my ears.
Yeah.
Whereas painting on a big canvas, you get more into your body, I think. Yeah.
I
Anyway.
definitely do. I definitely do. Yeah. But
And
that's
I sorry, I love teaching it because mostly it's absolute beginners that come and do it. And for them to step up from doing nothing or maybe a little bit of dabbling to suddenly painting on a big canvas like a real artist, which is they are, is a massive thing for some people to do. So I love that. No stopping them once they've done it, though.
No, I imagine they have a lot of reservation. You know, I mean, I'm sure there are some people that are really excited, like, woohoo, I want to do this. But then there are probably a whole group of people that are like, that seems so intimidating. And it's just like,
I won't know what to do. What if I don't like it? I get all of that. Yeah. And I always say, actually, you might not like it, but you can always paint over.
yeah, for sure. You can
You
always
just keep.
paint over. And I know there are artists out there who don't like painting big, like they've tried it and it's just not their thing. They prefer to paint small.
Yeah.
That's cool too. I mean, whatever, you know, but it's just giving yourself the chance to try it and discover something
Yeah.
maybe something new that you like or whatever. But, okay,
Exactly.
so I think this is where I'm going to leave it. It looks kind of messy, but
Awesome.
and then I'll pick it up on the next one. So.
Yeah. And I'm up to. Thank you for this. It's been good fun. It's really gone over so quickly.
I know, it feels like it's been like 5 minutes. It's great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Angela. Thank you to everyone who is watching us live and also for anyone that's going to be watching this later. Thank you. I hope it's helpful in some way to people, you know, to just get out of the thinking mind and just ease into the creative part of it. Whatever works for you, works for you. You don't have to do it the way we're doing it. You don't have to do it the way anyone else is doing it. Just find something that works for you. So
Yeah.
that's it for today.
Cool. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care, everyone. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.